Welcome to Shatter.
Help me reach 5,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. It happened on a Tuesday night, right after dinner. She was rinsing dishes, humming to some song from her playlist, when she said it, calm, almost careless. Let's slow down. No more touch for a while. I looked up from my glass of whiskey, waiting for her to laugh, to tell me it was a joke. She didn't. She just kept washing the plates, her back turned, like she'd just told me we were out of milk. I asked why. She said she needed space, that her energy was shifting. Her name is Brooke, my wife, a fitness trainer, all light and movement, always chasing a better version of herself. And me, Ethan, architect. I build structure for a living. I understand alignment, angles, foundation. I thought we were solid. Turns out, she'd already started renovating our marriage without telling me. For weeks, she came home later and later from the gym. New clients, she said. She'd shower, make a protein shake, scroll through her phone, and fall asleep before I could even reach for her. One night, I saw a name pop up on her screen, Caleb. The same guy she'd mentioned from work, the one who motivated her to push harder. The texts weren't romantic, but they were something else, constant, persistent, warm. I didn't say anything. I just nodded and went back to my sketches. That's what I do when things crack. I draw cleaner lines. At first, I tried to adapt. I started getting up earlier, cooking breakfast, bringing her Starbucks on the way to her morning classes. She'd thank me, kiss my cheek, and rush out the door, the scent of coffee and cold perfume trailing behind her. Every day felt like a smaller version of us. The house began to change too. Her laughter was gone, her candles unlit, the rooms colder. I stopped trying to fill the silence. It didn't want fixing anymore. It wanted to breathe. One night, I finally said, "I'll keep that same energy when you're ready." She smiled faintly, not realizing I meant every word. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't beg. I just started matching her pace, slow, quiet, distant. She thought she was in control of the distance. She didn't know she'd just built the walls I was about to disappear behind. After that night, everything shifted, but not in the way she expected. She thought I'd chase, that I'd fight for touch, for closeness. Instead, I adjusted. Architects don't panic when something collapses. We redesign around it. So I stopped waiting for her. I started leaving the house before she woke up. Early mornings became quiet escapes. Coffee from Dunkin', blueprints spread across my desk before the city even stirred. Work was easier than emotion. Lines on paper don't lie. At home, Brooke became a guest. She floated from room to room in her Lululemon leggings, talking about clients, energy, recovery. She spoke like a motivational podcast, bright, scripted, hollow. Every night she texted someone with a small smile she tried to hide. Caleb again, probably. She'd angle the screen away, but reflections are cruel. I saw his name once in the window glass, her little world of digital warmth, glowing where mine had gone cold. I didn't confront her. I just started pulling back my warmth, thread by thread. She'd reach for a quick hug in passing, and I'd keep my hands in my pockets. She'd talk, and I'd answer in quiet sentences that ended too soon. Silence became my new architecture, clean, sharp, impossible to climb. One evening, she came home from the gym later than usual. I was at the table, sketching a new project, a minimalist home with glass walls. She looked at the design and said, "Cold, too empty." I said, "It's honest." She didn't reply. Over the next few weeks, I watched her try to fill the space between us with noise, new playlists, more candles, constant calls with friends. But sound doesn't fix distance. It just decorates it. One night, I caught her looking at me differently. Not angry, not sorry. Just uncertain, like she was trying to remember who I used to be. She said, "You've changed." I wanted to tell her I hadn't. She'd just stopped touching me long enough to meet the version of me that didn't need her. Instead, I said nothing. I closed my notebook, turned off the light, and went to bed alone. That was the moment she realized my silence wasn't defense. It was design. It started with small things, tiny fractures in her calm. She'd glance at me mid-conversation, waiting for warmth that didn't come. She'd brush my arm by accident and flinch at how still I was. Brooke wasn't used to emotional weather she couldn't control. For years, she'd been the sun, bright, magnetic, always pulling attention toward her. Now, I was winter, I didn't plan revenge. I didn't need to. I just stopped filling the space she left empty. She'd come home and talk about Caleb like he was harmless. "He's just a friend," she'd say, her tone too casual, her smile too measured. But I'd already seen enough. The messages, the late-night calls, the emotional confessions she used to save for me. It wasn't physical. Not yet. But it was real. I remember one Friday night. She came back from the gym glowing. I was sitting on the couch with a sketch pad, drawing the foundation for a new build. She dropped her bag, kicked off her shoes, and started talking about a breakthrough she had with a client. Her eyes lit up when she said Caleb's name, then dimmed when she noticed my silence. She asked if I was okay. I said, "I'm just matching your tempo." She laughed nervously and went upstairs. That was the first time I saw her hesitate before closing the bedroom door. Over the next month, I built a routine around absence. I worked late, ate alone, answered politely, never emotionally. The house became symmetrical. Two separate lives sharing one structure. My phone stayed silent. Hers didn't. I could hear it vibrate across the counter, her little bursts of validation lighting up the screen. One morning, I woke before dawn and found her sleeping on the couch, phone in hand, screen still glowing with Caleb's name. I didn't feel rage, just distance. That kind of exhaustion that no apology can fix. When she woke, she looked at me like she expected confrontation. I poured my coffee, set my keys down, and said, "You don't owe me honesty, just consistency." She didn't answer. That's when the cold fully set in. The kind that doesn't shout, doesn't accuse, just freezes time until the other person realizes what warmth used to feel like. She'd asked for space. I gave her the kind that echoed. The first time she felt the cold wasn't in the air. It was in me. I remember coming home one night after a late client meeting. The house was dark except for the faint glow from the living room. Brooke was sitting there, cross-legged on the couch, scrolling through her iPhone. The moment I walked in, she straightened, almost like she'd been caught doing something wrong. Maybe she had. Or maybe she just knew something was changing that she couldn't name. She asked if I'd eaten. I said yes. She asked if I wanted to talk. I said no. She nodded, eyes darting between me and her phone, waiting for something to thaw. Nothing did. In the days that followed, she tried to act normal. Morning smoothies, gym clothes, fake smiles. But her rhythm was off. She started looking at me longer, watching the way I moved, like she was trying to find a sign that I still cared. I didn't. At least not in a way she recognized. I started sleeping in the guest room. I told her it was for focus, for my early work mornings. She didn't question it. But every night, I could hear her turn over in bed, restless, her silence tapping against the walls like a pulse. One Saturday, I came downstairs and found her cooking breakfast, something she hadn't done in months. The smell of pancakes filled the kitchen, but it felt like performance. She said she missed us. I said, "You missed the idea of us." That sentence froze her. She stared at me, spatula in hand, as if the air had suddenly dropped 20 degrees. Later that day, I saw her outside talking to Caleb by her car. They weren't touching, just standing too close. Her laugh sounded hollow, like she was trying to prove something. To him, or maybe to herself. When she came back inside, her face was flushed, and she asked if I had seen. I said, "I saw enough." That night, she cried quietly in the bathroom. I didn't go to her. I just sat in bed, listening to the sound of her realizing that warmth isn't about contact. It's about connection. And she'd already broken both. After that night, something inside the house shifted for good. It wasn't just quiet, it was empty. Even the walls sounded different, like the air had thickened with things we no longer said. I still went through the motions, work, errands, the gym, but everything I touched felt colder. Even the coffee tasted different, no matter how hot it was. Brooke started to notice the silence the way someone notices a draft. Slowly at first, then all at once. She'd linger in doorways, try to start small conversations, ask about my projects. I'd answer politely, but never fully. My voice stayed level, my tone calm, but the warmth was gone. One evening she came into my office while I was reviewing blueprints on my MacBook. She leaned against the doorframe and said, "You barely look at me anymore." I didn't stop typing. I said, "I'm just respecting your pause." She went quiet. A long, slow kind of quiet that felt heavier than shouting. The next morning, she left for the gym earlier than usual. When she came home, her phone was in her hand, face down this time. No notifications lighting up, no playful smile. She walked past me without a word. For the first time, I could sense confusion in her instead of control. The pause she'd created had finally turned against her. A few days later, I found her sitting at the kitchen table late at night. The lights were off except for one small lamp. She was staring at her reflection in the window. When I walked in, she didn't move. She said softly, "I thought space would make us stronger." I didn't answer. She added, "I thought I just needed to feel different." I poured myself a glass of water, set it down, and said, "You did. You just didn't think I would too." Then I went upstairs, leaving her alone with her reflection. By the end of the week, she'd stopped going to the gym after hours. The late texts were gone. Caleb stopped showing up in her stories. But it didn't matter. What she wanted back wasn't attention, it was temperature. And I'd already frozen at the source. Winter came early that year, and the house matched the season. I'd wake before sunrise, drive my Ford F-150 through the quiet streets, and stop at Dunkin' for coffee just to avoid breakfast at home. Brooke used to call me predictable, but now even my absence had a rhythm she couldn't control. She started leaving little traces of herself around the house again. Notes, playlists, small gestures that used to mean something. A new candle from Target on the nightstand, a framed photo she'd put back on the shelf. But warmth isn't about props. You can't redecorate connection. One night, she came into the living room while I was sketching. She asked if I still loved her. The question came out like breath in cold air, fragile, uncertain, desperate to be seen. I said, "Love's not the issue. Proximity is." She looked at me for a long time, like she was trying to find the man she remembered. But she couldn't, because that version of me existed in a world where she hadn't asked for distance. She turned away, sat down on the couch, and said, "I think I made a mistake." I nodded once. That was all. I didn't offer comfort, didn't argue, didn't rescue her from her own silence. She'd built this frost herself. I was just living inside it now. In the following days, I saw her trying harder, cooking again, turning down invitations, spending evenings at home. But her effort came too late. The touch she'd withheld had turned into a memory, something theoretical. She'd broken the bridge, and now every attempt to cross it only reminded her of the gap. Sometimes, at night, I'd hear her moving in the bedroom, restless, unable to sleep. The sound of her breathing used to calm me. Now it only echoed. She'd shift closer, testing the air, but my stillness stopped her every time. It wasn't cruelty. It was consequence. She had chosen pause as a strategy. What she didn't understand was that pause becomes permanence when someone stops waiting for play to resume. By the end of that month, I realized I didn't have to leave for her to feel my absence. I was already gone, sitting right next to her. The shift happened slowly, like frost creeping across glass. One morning, I found Brooke sitting on the kitchen floor, her coffee untouched, her gym bag still zipped. She looked at me and said, "I don't know what to do anymore." I just nodded and left for work. That was the difference between us. She needed reaction to feel alive. I needed silence to stay sane. At the firm, my days were steady. Design, meetings, deadlines, order. I'd lost interest in talking about my personal life. My coworkers asked if everything was okay, and I said it was. That was true in a way. Stillness can feel like peace if you stop remembering movement. When I came home that night, she was already there. No music, no TV, no phone in her hand. Just her, waiting. She asked if we could talk. I told her talking wasn't the issue. Listening was. She started to cry then, quietly, the kind of crying that doesn't expect comfort. It didn't move me. I'd seen her tears before, and back then they came with a performance. This time they came with recognition. She whispered that Caleb had left the gym, that they weren't in contact anymore. I said, "That's between you and the mirror." She froze, realizing that even confession couldn't melt what she'd created. Over the next few weeks, she tried rebuilding small things, movie nights, dinner, little touches on the arm. But I didn't meet her halfway. Every gesture felt rehearsed, temporary, too deliberate to be real. She wanted warmth back, but warmth can't be summoned. It has to be earned. I spent my evenings at my desk again, sketching. Once, I caught her watching me from the doorway, her face pale in the dim light. She said softly, "You don't even look angry anymore." I replied, "You can't argue with someone who's done feeling." That was when it hit her. The fight was over, but not because someone won. It ended because one side stopped showing up entirely. Brooke stopped going out after that. No more gym selfies. No more laughter in the hallway. The house stayed still. The same stillness she once asked for. Only now, it terrified her. She used to chase heat like oxygen. Now she was learning what it felt like to freeze from the inside out. By spring, Brooke had become a stranger in her own house. The woman who once filled every room with sound now moved like an echo. Careful, apologetic, small. She tried to be kind in every way that didn't matter. She'd fold my laundry, pack lunch, leave small notes on my desk. Each one was a quiet attempt to reverse gravity. But once something falls that far, it doesn't rise again. One evening, I came home later than usual. She was waiting at the table, dinner untouched, eyes red but steady. She said she wanted to explain what really happened with Caleb. I told her she didn't owe me a story. She said she needed to tell it anyway. She talked for a long time. About attention, loneliness, pressure. How being admired made her feel seen. How she thought slowing things down with me would reset us. Instead, she'd reset me out of reach. She said Caleb had been nothing more than an outlet. Someone who made her feel interesting again. I listened, but my silence wasn't forgiveness. It was a verdict. She asked if I could ever see us getting back to normal. I said there's no normal after frostbite. You can't warm something that's already lost circulation. Her face broke then, but she didn't cry. She just nodded, whispered, "I understand," and started clearing the plates she never ate from. That was the moment I realized she finally felt it. The cold she had once created, now living inside her bones. That night, she came into the guest room where I slept. She didn't say anything, just stood by the door, hesitating. Then she said, "I miss touching you." I looked at her, and the words that came out were the calmest I'd ever spoken. "Keep that same energy." She stood there for a few seconds, then turned away. The sound of her footsteps down the hall was the loneliest noise I'd ever heard. The next morning, she didn't go to the gym. She stayed home, sitting by the window in her robe, watching the light move across the floor. She looked like someone waiting for warmth that would never arrive. She froze me out to feel powerful. Now she was the one shivering in her own silence. The thing about emotional distance is that it doesn't announce itself. It just grows quietly until the absence feels normal. By summer, Brooke and I lived like polite roommates. Routine, efficient, detached. She still made coffee every morning, still left my mug by the counter, but she no longer waited for a thank you. I still worked late, still came home to the same dim light in the kitchen, but I stopped wondering when she'd go to bed. It wasn't anger anymore. It was peace that no longer included her. One night, I came home to find her sitting outside on the porch. She had a blanket wrapped around her shoulders, her hair tied back, a cup of cold tea beside her. She looked at me and said, "I can't feel anything lately, not even the cold." I told her that's what happens when you try to live without warmth for too long. It stops recognizing you. She nodded, a slow, quiet motion, like she was processing a truth too heavy to hold. Then she said, "I think I broke something in us." I said, "You didn't break it. You just stopped tending to it." After that, she didn't try to fix anything anymore. Instead, she started spending her evenings alone, reading, walking, sitting by the window until the light disappeared. I could tell she wasn't waiting for me anymore. She was waiting for herself, for the version that didn't need validation from anyone else to feel alive. One weekend, I came downstairs early and found her asleep on the couch. The sun hit her face, and for the first time in months, she looked peaceful. I stood there for a moment, then quietly left for work. Something about that morning told me the story was closing. Not with a fight, not with a final word, just with stillness. A few days later, she packed a small bag. She said she was going to stay with her sister for a while. I didn't stop her. I didn't ask when she'd be back. We both knew what leaving meant this time. She hugged me before walking out. Her hands were cold. Mine weren't. As the door closed, the house didn't feel empty. It felt balanced. The cold had finally found its place. It's been almost a year since she left. The house is quiet, but not empty. The silence feels earned now, like something built, not broken. I still wake up early, still drink coffee before the sun rises, still drive the same car down the same streets. But everything feels lighter, cleaner. There's no weight to the air anymore. Just clarity. Brooke reached out once a few months ago. A message that said, "I finally understand." That was it. No excuses, no nostalgia, no plea. I didn't reply. Understanding doesn't erase consequence. It just reveals it. I heard through mutual friends that she stopped training at the gym. She started teaching yoga instead, smaller classes, slower pace. They said she talks more about balance than intensity now. Maybe that's growth. Or maybe that's what's left when fire burns itself out. Sometimes I catch myself remembering small things. The way she used to laugh before she became restless. The smell of her hair when she'd fall asleep next to me. The sound of her sneakers hitting the stairs in the morning. Those memories don't hurt anymore. They just exist, like faint blueprints from a structure that was never meant to stand forever. Last week, I found one of her candles tucked behind a shelf, Target brand. The same vanilla scent she always lit after workouts. I didn't throw it away. I lit it, let it burn until the room warmed slightly, then blew it out before the wax could settle. It felt like the right amount of memory, brief, contained, controlled. People think endings come with grand gestures, but they rarely do. They come in quiet realizations, in a steady heart, in the space where reaction used to live. If she ever comes back, I know exactly what I'll say. Not out of pride, but truth. You wanted slow? You got still. You wanted space. You got silence. She thought distance would protect her from discomfort, but it only taught her the difference between comfort and connection. Now she teaches breathing exercises and tells her students to find their center. Maybe she's finally found hers. As for me, I don't chase warmth anymore. I build it. Carefully. Quietly. And when someone asks why I'm always calm, I just smile and say, because once someone taught me how cold feels. What would you have done in my place? If the story hit you, leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe. It only gets stronger from here.